In fact, your follow-up segment tonight, as you may know, there is some controversy about whether it is fair to link Muslims with terrorism, even though the vast majority of terrorist acts all over the world have been committed by crazy jihadists. But tomorrow in Iowa, they were planning a terror exercise. It's now been canceled. That's because the drill was concentrating on white, young supremacists, not Muslim terrorists. And there were threats. Joining us now from Montgomery, Alabama, spokesman for the Southern Poverty Law Center, Mark Potok. Now, a few weeks ago, Mr. Potok, you said on CNN, the biggest terror threat to America is coming from the radical right community. You still stand by that?
That's false, Bill, as I think you know. I said that the biggest domestic threat to America was from the domestic radical right, not domestic jihadists. In other words, not homegrown American Muslims. That was twisted on your show by you, by a blogger on your site.
It wasn't twisted by me. No. It wasn't twisted because your statement is dubious. It wasn't well, with all due respect, because we like you as a guest. Your statement was not well put. Let me read your exact statement, okay? It's not our biggest domestic threat. Yeah, this is talking about Muslim jihadists. It's not our biggest domestic threat. I think that pretty clearly comes from the radical right in this country. Now, I'll dispute that. I think that Muslim jihadists are a much bigger threat than a radical right, and the numbers back me up. Fort Hood, Fort Dick.
Bill, can I just say one thing very quickly?
Yeah. Go ahead.
The one thing I want to say is immediately afterwards, you said, you know, Muslim terrorists or jihadists have killed tens of thousands of people all over the world. Well,
correct.
That is true. I don't disagree with that at all. I certainly think that as an external matter, al-Qaeda is a far greater threat. I don't think there's much question about that. But that's not what I said, and you mischaracterized what I said.
No, you put yourself in a position of criticizing Peter King's hearings on what the domestic terror threat is from the jihadists. In the context of where you were, it seemed to me, diminishing that in favor of saying the right-wing radicals are a bigger threat. I don't believe the right-wing radicals are a bigger threat, and I don't believe Americans see it either. But I could be wrong. The one thing you do have going for you is Spokane. But you don't need to mischaracterize what... Okay. The one thing you do have going for you is Spokane, where a nut named Karen Hartman, with ties to white supremacist groups, has now been indicted for putting a bomb on the road during a Martin Luther King Day parade. Thank God it didn't go off. You do have those isolated incidents, and there are white supremacist groups who are a bunch of idiots, and the FBI are all over them. Now, in Iowa, this thing was canceled because basically they wanted to run a drill that right-wing terrorists were coming down from, I guess, the cornfields and shooting children. And I think most Americans go, that's stupid, it's a waste of money, why are you bothering?
Well, are you going to tell our viewers why it was canceled? It was canceled because they got an enormous number of threats.
Right, not enormous, they had threats.
Concern them. I just talked to a reporter out there, and the threat that really made them shut the exercise down was a call to the school that said, if you go through this, something like you've envisioned will happen or may happen. So, you know, who's to say? It sounds like the people here defend.
It's terrible. It's awful, and I've ceded to you that there are white supremacist groups that the FBI should be watching, and they do anything like this, you should arrest them. But at this juncture, Mr. Potok, you're not going to convince the American public that these far-right kooks are more dangerous than the jihad. You're not going to do that, and I'll give you the last word.
Well, Bill, that's not what I said, once again. So I think it would be good if you paid attention to what was actually said rather than going on television and, you know, calling me a lot of names. I'm a member of the radical left.
I didn't call you any names, I used your own words.
Bill, I saw the transcript.
What name did I call?
You know, I don't appreciate that kind of mischaracterization.
What name did I call you?
You said we were a part of the radical left, the nuts on the left, who were coming up with this kind of lunatic.
I don't think I called you that.
Which you had utterly misinterpreted.
I don't think I called you that. All right. Well, look, that's why we have this program. We gave you an opportunity to put forth your point of view. We always respect you as a guest, and thanks for coming on tonight. Plenty more ahead as the factor moves along this evening from South Florida.